correct a lot of these problems. And he kind of helped us deal with that and raise our spirit and get us ready for the next day. He was a very good godsend.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Saturday, the last day of our construction, we were really trying to get this new church building ready for use. When we arrived there, the first day that we visited to see what was going on, the building was there, but there were no doors and windows. There were, it was usable with wooden benches for pews, but no doors, windows, and no electric lights. So among the other things that were happening that week, doors were in, shutters were in, and on Saturday morning, Pastor Steve was out there with Pastor Thomas Daralus and some others, and they were going to install a solar panel on the roof of the building and connect the solar panel to storage batteries, which would then power some electric lights in the building. And I was very interested. I'm interested in solar power. I've seen it, but I don't understand how it works. So all morning long, they're getting the wiring. They had an electrician there who was putting the wiring in, and we were mounting a bracket on the wall where 2 car batteries were going to set. And the wires came from the roof to the car batteries, and then from there to the electric light fixtures. And it was looking great. And just before lunchtime, somebody realized we have a problem, because the solar panels collect solar power and convert it to electricity, which then goes into the storage batteries, like the batteries in your car. But I don't know if you know anything about electricity, but that is 12-volt direct current electricity. And it was then going to go out to power electric light bulbs, which, like in your house, is 110-volt alternating current. And something has to happen to convert the 12-volt direct current to 110-volt alternating current to use it in your home. And there is a device called an inverter which does that. And everybody knew that, but nobody had thought about it. And so we were getting close to lunchtime, and suddenly somebody remembered, we have a missing component that isn't going, this system will not work without it. And we sat down to lunch discouraged, because we had hoped on the last day of construction to have this all finished. We wanted to leave that day with electricity working. We sat down to lunch and started talking about other things, and one of the men who was living there at the Batey disappeared. He was gone for about 10 minutes, and when he came back, nobody really noticed that he had left, but when he came back carrying a large box. Now, we first thought, oh, he's gone out and he's brought in some fresh fruit. We're going to have some fresh fruit to have with our lunch. But you could tell this box was very heavy. He sat it down on the floor and opened it. And guess what was in that box? That power inverter. Now, where he went to find this, in 5 minutes out and 5 minutes back, you couldn't drive anywhere within 30 minutes to find anything. Never mind a technical piece of electrical equipment. But he went somewhere and came back with this powered equipment, which we were then able to connect, and by the end of the day when we left there, we had electricity working. Now, it could have happened this way. We could have remembered we needed it. And we could have bought it and brought it with us on that last day. And we would have done the same thing, and we would have left that day saying, there, look what we did. But instead, we left there that day saying, wow, look what God did. Now that's my definition of a miracle, and I got to be a witness of it. I didn't plan on telling that story today, but I'm glad I got a chance to. one other thing. Thanks God. One other thing. Pastor Thomas and his wife Esther and their children are going to be here in this church on Sunday morning, June 26th. And then they're going to stay through the day, and in the afternoon and evening, we're inviting all of the churches to come for a potluck supper and a meeting with them in the evening. So you're welcome to come for the Sunday morning service too, but I wouldn't want to pull you away from your own congregation for that. But we hope that many of you will come that afternoon and evening for dinner and fellowship.
And that guy, he really worked out there. I've got pictures of him, you'll see. And so to make the story shorter, we'll just go right along and box pictures. And if you see anything, Dennis, you want to add on while the pictures are going, feel free. Same way with you, Sherry. And we'll just let her go. There's going to be a revision of this, by the way, and I hope to have it a little better. So if anybody's interested in seeing them at your church, or women's group, whatever, let me know. And if I can accommodate you, I certainly will.
This is one of our doctors. He's an OB/GYN. Herb. Oh. I don't know if you know all these people or not, but this is Jerry Sperling. They're from Bar Harbor. This is a young girl who's a student teacher, Mariah, and she needs gluten-free food. We're sending down a care package right now. They were staying for 6 months to do teaching. This is us prepping. This is Catalina Smith. Her husband is it Philip? Phil?
Yes, Phil.
Um,
of the Free Will Baptist Church here. Linnaeus?
There were 8 nurses. They had started off in 2 and they needed some more, and they had 8 others come. This team is dynamic. This is our pharmacy team. They were from Wellsboro, Georgia, and New York, I think it was. This is our compound where we stay. We slept up here. This is where they cook the food outside. Dennis and them were over on this side sleeping. Every night the pharmacist had to put out medications.
Sorry.
We had bins of medications and we ran out of some medications and all, but every night the pharmacy team had to count out pills, put them in the containers, and you see how small this area is? The churches were even smaller, and we had 8 teams of nurses, plus a pharmacy, plus people coming in, and they not only saw us, but they got clothes. Then the pharmacy had to give out the medications, tell them how to take the medications, and it was like a battle. You could hardly hear each other.
It was interesting because we had to have interpreters for everything because they all spoke Spanish. So we were sitting with patients. My patient would be like this. My interpreter was here, the doctor was over there, and with his interpreter. So it was back and forth. It was kind of different being in the minority. You know.
This was planned, by the way, because every single night that we were there, the electricity went out. Unknown amount of time. So this is reminding us of how often the power went out.
I'm just going to put the DVD in. Just give me a few minutes.
Okay. While we were there, we did have 6 clinics and saw the 1,200 people, which we were surprised we saw that many people. And there were motorcycle accidents because they don't have cars down there. They do mopeds. It's $4 a liter for gas. And it's not just you on the moped. It's however many people you can fit on that moped. So there was a lot of moped accidents. There were people that had lupus. There were people that had kidney disease, diabetes. I had one gentleman who was had a reaction to his diabetic medications because he was giving his food to his kids. So he wasn't eating right. And the other thing, I think she's going to have one in here of, we had a night of unpacking. Everybody brought a big duffel bag, which was full of books and clothes and soaps and powders and toothbrushes, toothpaste. And we gave out a duffel bag at each clinic that we went to. And in the past, people were so hungry that they were eating the soap. So a lot of us had brought in granola bars to put in them. And one of the things that was hard was when we stopped to have our lunch, there'd be kids and everything outside. And we were told we're not to feed them. And one girl did. And sure enough, next thing you know, there were 10 other little kids there that want something to eat. And you just couldn't give the food without jealousy happening, without begging starting. So we had to be very cautious of how we gave gifts.
So they did, everybody that come to the clinics got at least one outfit of clothing. And you see the people in church, or you see the people that come to these clinics, they were amazingly well dressed. And it was because of things that you folks, like you and I, give to them. And they each got a health care packet, as she said, with the toothpaste, toothbrush, granola bar, soap, towel, as well as an outfit of clothes and medicines. And we used a lot of honey. That honey was the only thing they gave over there for coughs, which maybe we'd be smart to incorporate that in our medication list here in the States.
This is Doris, Catalina, and Dee. Dee was from Florida. She's taking care of a husband that was ill, and yet God sent her. This is Jill. She's our pharmacist for dispensing the meds. The meds had to be purchased down in the Good Samaritan Hospital. Every day would bring us out the meds that we had purchased, and our missionaries do a wonderful job. Christy Ingalls was our missionary down there, and she coordinated being able to buy the medication. The government only lets you use one medication for blood pressure, and it's Norvasc. And they have a free program afterward. And Christy would set up going out to the different clinics and make sure that she set up over 150 different clinics down there. And every 6 weeks, someone comes in to help these people and make sure that they have their medications. Between the pastor, Durolis, and the missionaries, now it's Vital and Kathleen Pierre has taken over for Christy Ingalls. They coordinate where we stay, they coordinate the money that we need, the person that's going to feed us, the groceries. This year they had to get freezers because there was 2 groups of 30 coming in. There was one 10 days before us, and then we came in. And this is us packing up all of the care package.
The women over there that did the meals, they were all outdoors on that patio. They don't bake anything, and they had these huge pots that they used to cook in, and they had some chicken that was to die for. It was wonderful.
This is a school, there's 426 students, and a lot of the kids come to the school hungry. They don't have anything to eat. Through the generosity of the money that we raised, we were able to leave back $5,000 for a meal program for the rest of this year for these students. I don't know if you can see the little scarves my church had made, and Tina Reed is from Bar Harbor, and she gave us a talk to the Haitians on being sisters, and we passed over from the American sisters to the Haitian sisters the scarves that night.
Where did you go?
I'm sorry?
Where did you go?
We went to, it's called San Pedro de Marcos in
What country?
the Dominican Republic.
Okay, you keep talking about the Asian women, so.
The Haitians are in the Dominican Republic as slave labor. It's like the people that used to come out and pick potatoes from us from down south and all, the migrant workers. They cannot vote, they cannot have a say in the government. At any time, the government can come and just pick you up and take you to the border and throw you out.
It was Pastor Dennis there in the middle by the pole. Did you remember seeing those 3 brass big windows there? Those were brass pieces that Jerry Sperlin, who was the architect, that designed that church. I don't know how many years ago it was, but that's a beautiful church inside there. And she made those brass window paintings.
She's actually from Swan's Island, isn't
Yeah,
Oh, Cranberry Island.
she? One of the islands,
Ellsbury is.
I think
yeah. She
Cranberry.
has to come on a boat.
This young lady had some Indian heritage, and she was an artist, and she painted a picture of the church, 2 pictures of the church. And this is Ardell Thomas and Father Pastor Tans. This is our group. This is Summer. She's from Maine. Catalina's from Maine. This little one is Phoebe that took the pictures. Alexis is from Maine, her mom Connie. The men put on a show for us, and they sang kind of children's hymns, and it was a lot of fun. You could understand some of the words because it was Creole Spanish. So, and of course here in Maine we have some French. This is Puchora. He drove us everywhere, and he's a good driver because we'd be going along and we would be this close to the vehicle next to us.
And you shared the roads with dogs and mopeds, and they were going on both sides of you. I don't know what that is.
I think it was monuments. When we came in, there was big monuments.
Oh, I think you're right.
Steel.
Yep.
When we were coming through.
That was our room. Closed.
That one was a good bed. My mattress went like this the whole time. And if you go to, there's 2 trips that are down there. One is Las Hermanas, which I have the shirt on back there. They do have air conditioning in their dormitories. We had a fan.
There were 8 women in this one room, and the only thing we had in there was just beds. I thought I was, a little bit, that must be a little bit like prison. Although, they have bathrooms, I guess, or flushes in theirs. We didn't have that. Everything went in your suitcase under the bed or on the bed.
You could not use toilet paper in the bathroom. Nothing went down to the sewers other than what you did. So every night they had to take that all out and burn. We could smell smoke every night when we went to bed. They still haven't finished the total church yet. They still have to do the baptismal.
I was going down the street, one of the streets there. Must have been election year. They had a lot of pictures of it.
This church was built in 2001. And there was nothing around the compound. And now look at it. It's like little squatters. If you're really rich, you had a house built of block. If you weren't, it's just corrugated iron or tin.
That was 2 of our interpreters the day they took us to the beach. Or no, actually, I think that we might have been out walking. That's Sherry there in the corner. She looks like she's in jail, doesn't she?
That's the porch. Pastor's porch.
Getting ready to go out on the mission that morning, waiting for the bus. And that was on the babies that had the red hair. And you see that oftentimes with malnourishment.
And everybody raises the kids in the church. I mean, if the baby was fussy, then you pass it to the next person, and then the next person. We did hold a lot of babies.
That was me with my moped.
Did you
I had it right in the building. And that was one of the houses in one of the days that we were at. There were some of them that were much poorer than the others. I mean, there were buildings that you wouldn't put your animals in here. That's how poor they were. But they didn't act like they were poor. They were friendly, always smiling, waving.
The people had to pay a certain amount fee to come to the clinics. Because in the past, when they did it free, a lot of people would come just to get the free clothes, the free medication, and really not have a need. So to help them not be beggars, they started the program where you had to pay a small fee. That didn't mean that the church didn't help. If there was somebody that couldn't do the fee. Every day we had our clothes washed. And down there the water is not good. So they use bleach very freely. So if you wanted to have your clothes clean, but also ruined, you know, we went down and the ladies would wash every day. These are the clothes that were given out. You girls have seen those little pillowcase dresses? Yeah, Pennsylvania had sent in about 100 of them. And they were all gone by the end of the week.
It's a church in progress.
You think that you're giving a blessing to these people, but Jerry wrote a piece because she was having a hard time. She serves on the board for Collegia Mariah, and she talks about feeling that she was a failure in her relationship with her parents. Her dad has Parkinson's, which is advancing quite fast, and not being there to help take care of him out in California.
That is sugar cane right there, by the way. Sorry.
And she talks about feeling that she didn't have a job right then, and that she had inadvertently been at odds with people around where she lives and all. And she said, gee, I really need my people skills, because the 30 of us that did go on this trip were from all over the United States: Georgia, Michigan, Florida, New York, Maine. And she says, but the right people were sent to answer a lot of people's questions. And she got back her self-esteem while she was there, in the jobs that she did. And there was a young student there, she was a medical student, Rachel. She was questioning if God wanted her to be a doctor or not. And by going on this mission trip, God answered her prayer that this is where He wants her to do her work.
That girl that you just saw in there with me was my interpreter the last 3 days I was there. And we formed quite a bond. Estella was her name, and she was a young girl that worked at the hospital in La Romana. And she came one morning, and she was a little bit late, and they had assigned another interpreter to me. And she came in and she looked around, she kind of scowled, and she came over and she said in rapid fire Spanish to this guy that was sitting there. And he got up and he went, and she sat down. So she told me after, she said, I wanted to be your interpreter. I was there first. That's some of the schoolgirls, and kids are kids everywhere. They always want to have their pictures taken. They have to have uniforms to go to school. There again, patients can't go to public schools because they don't have birth certificates. And that school accommodates them, of course. You can sponsor those kids for as little as $25 a month, which I picked up one after I came home. A boy named Carlos, 11. Yes, Mary?
I was there in that village, I'm
You
sure,
were?
in 2003. I was in La Romana,
Mhm.
and one day they went out and I was in Pastor Tanner's home, and at that time, they hadn't built the school, and
Oh,
all those desks were like in his living room.
oh, really?
And they had like 4 shifts of students a day,
Wow.
so that they could accommodate all the.
He and his wife are amazing people. Yeah. That was our bus.
Is it mostly the Haitians in the lattes that you?
Yes, yes. And that's the bag of water. I was telling the little boy that was here earlier, that they didn't have bottles over there apparently, or that's a very popular way of selling water to drink, is in bags. They don't have straws or anything. I said to Tina, I guess she was the one that took us out one day after work. I said, how do you drink it? She said, you just bite the end off the corner of it and knock it up. So there's a little bag back there, be sure to look at it.
These gentlemen are from the House of Hope, which is, helps young men have a job and earn money. And that t-shirt that's back there was from Peg and them found out that 2 of the boys could draw. And so they drew that village that's on that t-shirt, and Peg and them helped them get all the equipment to make those t-shirts, and they raised money that way. And they do have a program, Tina Reed, that did the speaking, did a class on how to start your own business and give some tips and advice. And there is a fund that they can apply for to help them. Our pastors did a lot of workshops and all. They didn't just work during the daytime. They also were helping Pastor Tanis. And you could tell the Holy Spirit was there because we had some really moving sermons and all. And even if we couldn't tell that what the music was, it just entered your heart and lifted you up.
And I tell you, when you went to church, you were energized. I mean, everybody was clapping and raising their hands and singing. Young people, everybody. It was just a wonderful experience, worship.
When was the last time you got on your knees on the floor of your church and prayed? You would see that quite often there.
Yeah, people would come into church before church started, and it was not uncommon at all. They'd kneel in front of their pew and pray, and then get up and sit. That was part of the clinic.
If you wanted to, you could get up at 4 a.m. and go to the prayer service at 5 a.m. every morning. We had 2 services on Sunday. They had choir practice on Monday. They had church service on Tuesday and Thursday. And then we went to the ladies' tea also one night.
They had youth group, I think, Saturdays, wasn't it? Yeah. So almost every night there was church. And there was always good crowds. That was dinner. I put that in there because you look at the seats there, it just looks a little bit rustic, doesn't it? But we had ham and cheese sandwiches every day with a little bit of Coke. The bread, you could tear a piece of it off, make a sandwich. You had one communal knife.
If you want to lose weight,
That was
that's
one of the little boys.
It'll teach you portion control. It'll teach you to share. And thank God Doris brought some chocolate. So we did have a piece of chocolate, and one gentleman was friends with the first group that came, and he had told them that he was going to have a birthday the next week, and they left money to buy him a cake. And that was the only dessert we had the whole time we were there. Otherwise, it was fruit.
No, I brought Oreos. That day they took us shopping. I saw some Oreo cookies, so I bought some for us for our supper. That was our pharmacist, Jill, there.
We had beans and rice, we had chicken, we had their pork chops that are more like a smoked ham. We had yucca.
That's Dennis and Steve and Tina. And they had a really good cereal in the morning. It was like a cream of wheat, but it was brown. and it had a lot of nutmeg in it. It's amazing what you'll eat when you're hungry.
We had more than enough to eat though.
And they always had peanut butter and jelly.
Which church does Dennis serve in? Because I'm not from up north. This one is church.
Dennis, you want to say anything about that cistern that you were building?
We built a roof to cover it to keep the debris from going into it. The cistern was quite old and had been there for I don't know how long, but it leaked. And so one of the things that happened while we were there was that it was drained and waterproofed and sealed up.
Yeah.
So,
All done.
What are you gonna do? I won't say what. It was one of the better looking houses that we saw out on our walks. We had a few minutes at noontime, and we could take a walk around. I always took my camera with me. I'm not a good photographer on a good day, but got some pictures.
Everybody's house was different. If you notice, this is corrugated tin. And that's all that you had between you and the next person. All the cooking was done outside. There was one baby we went to, and we got to watch a lady pluck her chicken, prepare meals. It didn't matter if it was rusty or not. If it could shelter you from the heat, that was all that it had to do. The group that went before us, I think, and that's what you saw at the very beginning, and all, they did a puppet show. And I swear the young kids did most of the witnessing to each other with those puppet shows. So you don't have to have a talent or be a nurse or be a teacher and all to be a missionary.
Those were teachers there. We got their picture one day. And that's the little store where Tina went in and bought us some water. And they always told us if we went off the compound to have at least 2 or 3 men with you, not to go by yourself. Never felt threatened though. I never really saw anything that scared me. That little girl, one of the guys that had one of the bag of water, she was standing there looking at us, and he went and gave her his water. Everybody that came to the clinic got parasite medication because that's so prevalent over there. The water, most of it's not fit to drink. And so they just keep getting reinfected. That guy was getting his hair cut outside the House of Hope. So look, he looks like he's sitting on a commode, but it really isn't. And that's inside one of their rooms. And I said to one of the guys, I said, "Can I look in your room?" And the interpreter said that to the boy. And he said, "Oh, it's a mess." I said, "I'm used to it. Let me look." So he did. I was quite surprised to see the computer. Many of them had the smartphones. And I made a comment, how do they afford to do it? That guy there's got my hat on. You see that black and white on top of his head?